Why is rent so expensive in 2026? In short, it's because rent spiked a lot in a very short amount of time, and we're still feeling those effects. Things have cooled off a bit since the big spike in prices, which was in 2021 and 2022, but we have not seen a reversal of that increase, and at the same time, broad-based inflation throughout the economy has made other costs more expensive as well. I'm Chris Salviati, Chief Economist at Apartment List, and this is a question that's top of mind for millions of renters who are feeling burdened by their monthly rent payments. So let's dig deeper into what the data says about what's going on with rent prices and why. Like so many major storylines of the past 5 years, this one has its roots in the pandemic. From January 2021 to August 2022, the national median rent spiked by 26%, which is an unprecedented surge in prices, and in a number of markets, that increase was even more extreme. For context, in the years prior to the pandemic, rents were increasing by about 2 to 3% per year nationally. So we're talking about what would have been nearly a decade of rent growth under normal circumstances, getting compressed into just 18 months, and that's directly attributable to the pandemic effect. So what caused that spike? It really comes down to the demand side of the market. The pandemic set off a wave of new household formation. Roommate households splitting apart, young adults moving out from their parents' homes for the first time to form their own households. All of that demand hit at once, and it created a real tightening in the rental market where more and more renters were competing for fewer and fewer vacant units. And as that competition got more fierce, prices got driven up. Now, since that peak, we've seen a real increase in apartment construction, and that has allowed supply to catch up with demand, such that rents actually have been easing. As of July 2026, the national median rent is down about 4% from that 2022 peak. But even as that pendulum swings back a bit, we are not talking about a reversal. Even after that decline, the national median rent is still today 21% higher than it was back in January of 2021. Now, it's important to keep in mind that rent is not the only place that households have been getting squeezed either. Over these same 5 years, inflation has been an ongoing concern, with prices climbing faster than wages for a good stretch of that period. When everything else, your gas bill, your groceries, your insurance, also costs more, that rent bill starts to feel more and more burdensome and can really start to feel like a breaking point, which is where a lot of households have been at. And this isn't just a perception problem. When we look at the most recent data from the Census American Community Survey, we see that 52% of all renter households in the US are considered cost-burdened. That means that they spend more than the recommended 30% of their household income on rent. And 26%, more than 1 in 4 renter households, spend more than half of their monthly income on rent. So it's unfortunately extremely common for renters to be facing very real financial instability, and for the vast majority of those households, rent is their single biggest expense. And so rent really is expensive in 2026. This isn't just a thing that folks are perceiving. So why is rent so expensive in 2026? It's because we're still feeling the effects of a historic surge in prices that really occurred a few years ago, and the modest declines that have come since then have not been enough to reverse it. More than half of renter households are cost burdened, and more than 1 in 4 are spending more than half of their income on rent. Those numbers have not budged, even with the modest decline in rents that we've seen over the past couple of years. So the truth is that millions of renters are facing persistent stress about their monthly rent bills, and this is highlighting a real need to find solutions to a very real housing affordability crisis that we're facing in the US today.